has it worse? Tall women or short men? Plenty of sheltered foids laugh in our faces and claim they've got it harder. And blue-pilled normies gaslight short men in a pathetic attempt at white knighting. But the truth? The data, the studies, and the lived experiences prove that it's not even close. And once you see what tall women actually gain just from existing, it becomes nearly impossible to take their complaints seriously. Let's start by dissecting this comment that some girl left on my TikTok video this week, where I was just talking about the struggles of short men, and she decided to downplay it and claim that her struggles were worse. And this comment was the exact reason why I decided to make this video. First off, before I piss off any tall women watching, I just want to make it clear that I adore tall women, and I have a specific love and attraction to women that are over 5'11". And that's where the first inconsistency comes in with this comment. First of all, 5'6" is not tall, even for a woman. In the United States, average female height is 5'4". You wouldn't say that a man who's 5'11" is tall, now would you? In fact, I would argue that most women would see that and say,
"Ew, you're short. Height doesn't start with a 6. Swipe left."
So, if they're going to have a ridiculously high standard for height, so am I. 5'11" is minimum for me. Now, this girl tries to make it out like there are no men out there who would want her if she's over 5'6" because she's too tall. And yeah, she's partially right. What do I mean by partially? Well, if she's only out there seeking men who are interested in the traditional height disparity power dynamic, then yeah, most guys in the 5'10" to 6'2" range are probably going to prefer the woman who's 5'5" or less. Little does she know, there are literally hundreds of millions of men in the world that actually prefer tall women. Meanwhile, the number of women who specifically prefer short men, practically zero. So when you're a woman in that sorta tall range, you might think you have it better than girls that are 6'4", but in reality, you're actually less desired by the hundreds of millions of men that prefer women over 6 foot, and also less desired by the billions of men that want a traditional small woman. But hey, 5'9" is the most common height for female models, so at least you've got that. Think about the difference between how our culture and media treats tall women versus how they treat short men. Our tall queens out there experience near universal empowerment, encouragement, and cultural sympathy with shows like My Giant Life and Tall Girl, TV shows and endless articles that sympathize with the struggles of a tall woman. Our culture uplifts and praises tall women, and frequently paints them as statuesque, beautiful, regal, or models. Short men, we get no sympathy. We're men, we're expected to bend over and take it. As disadvantaged as we are, we're probably the only marginalized group that society has collectively agreed is okay to abuse and bully. We're the goofy, wimpy, low IQ sidekick in every Disney movie and the butt of every joke across the media of our culture. So as far as media portrayal goes, I think it's pretty obvious who has it worse. On top of all that, being a very tall woman comes with a wealth of opportunities. One of those being social media. Because of those hundreds of millions of men out there who specifically prefer tall women, simply existing on social media puts you at a position of significant value over the average woman, even if you just have an average-looking face. And the scarcity of being a part of that category, where there is very little competition, has a lifetime value probably calculated in the tens of millions. Ekaterina Lysina, for example. I like to use her in a lot of my thumbnails, but she has built an entire career out of being tall, and now she's a multimillionaire. I mean, think about it. Beautiful women, they're a dime a dozen. But tall women, you're rare as a diamond. But short men, we have no such opportunities. So the key takeaway here is that tall women may have a smaller dating pool than short women. But if you think about it in a ratio perspective, they might actually have it better or just as good as an average height woman. because the dating market that they're operating in is far less saturated. But being tall as a woman isn't anywhere close to being the deal breaker that being short is as a man. But outside of dating, height isn't just about who swipes right. It decides your future in ways most people don't even realize. There are multiple peer-reviewed studies from accredited scientific journals proving that tall people outperform in career outcomes, regardless of race or gender or any other demographic characteristic. Every single inch in height provides a major boost to yearly earnings across one's lifetime. When you're genetically predisposed over many generations to take charge and receive more opportunities in life, then of course over many generations that wealth will be passed down and invested and compounded. A modern example of this would be sports dynasties. Families who, both male and female, have been participating in and excelling in college, professional, and Olympic sports for generations. A few that come to mind would be Sammy Francis, Alexis Light, Anna Smrek, and those same elite-level Ivy League schools stay so connected with the parents of these people that they provide their children and their children's children with a free ride scholarship simply for playing on their team. And if you'll notice, every generation, these people get taller. And the thought comes to mind, why do these people get a free ride scholarship to Stanford University just for being tall when their families are already wealthy? Shouldn't those kind of opportunities be going to people that are underprivileged who wouldn't be able to attend those schools otherwise? Another major reason for the generational correlation between height and power is the assumed authority of someone who towers over the rest, who's head and shoulders above the crowd, someone large and in charge. Both science and the lived experience of billions of people across many generations of civilization makes it very clear that there is an inherent leadership bias towards people that are tall. There's a study showing that tall people are more likely to win elections, more likely to gain promotions, more likely to be trusted for leadership positions, more likely to be respected and listened to when they do achieve those leadership positions. So when tall women complain that they have it worse than short men, they're conveniently ignoring the fact that they are tremendous beneficiaries of this career and social capital. And it's not just dating or careers where short men are crushed by height. The unfairness goes even deeper, shaping mental health, education, and brain development for life. Tall women might complain, but short men are the ones paying the real price. And if that wasn't enough, the real brutality shows up in adolescence, where height not only decides your status, but your physical well-being. Short boys are bullied in school relentlessly, and they're taught by their peers, both male and female, from a very early age, that they have less value. This sort of persistent humiliation is a constant reminder that they are less. Now imagine getting bullied as a tall girl, getting teased for your height. Yeah, it hurts your self-esteem. Yes, it makes you feel less feminine. But at the same time, if you really wanted to, you could dominate and intimidate your bully into submission, and they would never mess with you again. Meanwhile, if you're a short guy, you're too small and weak to fight back and defend yourself. Your only option as a small man is to internalize, submit, and endure, all while you watch the girls that you crushed over lusting after the big, tall bully. So not only do you have to deal with being physically afraid of your bully who could easily hurt you if he wanted to, but you also have to deal with the fact that the traits that allow these bullies to have so much power and dominance over you are the same traits that the women find most physically attractive in a man. In fact, I even have a study here that shows that women are more attracted to bullies. And most often, these tall bullies are student athletes who come from privileged upper-class families who have a lot of influence over the school. As a result, the school protects them, and if you ever try to defend yourself, you're the one who gets in trouble. The constant stress of being picked on as a small guy, the internalized feelings of inferiority evolve into a chronic lack of self-confidence that ends up leading to self-isolation. And that's on top of being socially ostracized by their peers. And so it becomes a self-fulfilling positive feedback loop of poor social skill development, putting them further and further behind their peers in every aspect of life. The physical size disparity between the bullied and the bullies when you're a short guy leaves you completely helpless to those who gain sadistic pleasure from abusing the blessings of power that the universe bestowed upon them. Contrast this to tall women who are being teased for their height. At least they aren't physically powerless to stop it. Now, not only does this phenomena evolve into workplace bullying in adulthood, but that same size disadvantage that left small men vulnerable to being taken as easy targets for bullying left them just as vulnerable for that weakness to be exploited by criminals in their life. Whether it's by a mugger or a grapist or just a group of teens on the street looking to harass somebody. When you're big and tall, whether male or female, you're less likely to be targeted by such people. Even if the criminal has a knife or a gun, they're less likely to want to take a chance on being disarmed and humiliated by someone who towers over them and captures them in a headlock while they wait for the cops to come. The hypocrisy never stops. Tall women cry victim. They say no one wants them, while at the same time rejecting short men. There's this epidemic among tall women of this relentless double standard. They complain and complain about having no one to date, yet they would never stoop so low as to date down with a short man. And even if these tall women do get the opportunity to date the tall man that they're looking for, it's never quite enough, because the majority of these women want to feel feminine. So they seek out a man who can make them feel that way. And even when they find a man who makes them feel somewhat feminine, they still seethe with jealousy towards the women who get to experience being fully enveloped and dominated by the male form. And I understand exactly how they feel, because I feel the same way. I desire that experience of feeling feminine and small and helpless and submissive, but I wasn't always this way. I also used to overcompensate for my lack of masculinity, but it was never enough. Not every man was physically designed to be macho and alpha. And in my video, Why I Like Being Short, I explain in detail how the brutal reality of life beat me down into the ground until one day I snapped and I stopped seeking out women that would make me look more masculine, and I started being physically attracted to women who would completely dominate me and make me look like a little bitch by comparison. And it takes severe, chronic mental anguish to reach that point where your brain, out of some ancient self-preservation instinct, causes a switch to flip. And there are millions of short men out there, just like me, who have been pushed to that breaking point. How many tall women have suffered that much in life as a result of their height that they've been pushed to that breaking point where they snap? Well, apparently it's nearly zero. Because if they did, I think you'd see a lot more of them embracing their physical supremacy and develop a sense of pleasure and fulfillment at the idea of defying their naturally assigned gender roles. And just like the elites desire to eliminate the middle class economically, they desire to eliminate the middle class of stature as well. They try to downplay the benefits of their superior stature because they wish to continuously reap the benefits of this superior height advantage while simultaneously nipping any dissent in the bud. These tall women, they get to have their cake and eat it too. Not only do they get to claim victimhood, but at the same time, they're uplifted by society and media and culture in general as glamorous and model-like. And regardless of how privileged their background is, they simultaneously get to claim the DEI benefits that go along with simply being female. Meanwhile, the struggles of short men are downplayed, our lived experiences invalidated, our voices drowned out by an orchestra of gaslighting, and our existence nothing more than a punchline and a benchmark for our superiors to compare to and feel better about themselves. So, when tall women say they have it worse, you have to ask yourself, worse in what world? Tall women don't have it worse. The data proves it, the bullying proves it, and the outcomes in life prove it. Short men face struggles that tall women will never understand. This isn't about whining. It's about the truth. Who do you think has it worse? Drop a comment below. Let's debate. If you want more brutal reality checks, subscribe. I'm posting new videos every week exposing the lies people tell about height. And if you want to see what tall privilege looks like in its purest form, check out my video on Nancy Mulkey, the 6'10" heiress from My Giant Life. A tall woman who built her easy life on the back of her height and her family's privilege. Thanks for watching.